Welcome to PortfolioCasts, the podcast where we break down real investor portfolios.
In this episode, we're exploring David Einhorn from Greenlight Capital's portfolio, the key holdings, the concentration, and the thinking behind it.
David Einhorn is one of those names that really makes the market sit up and listen. He manages a portfolio worth about $2.7 billion at Greenlight Capital. He is famous for that deep fundamental research and his history as a legendary short seller. Today we are diving into his top 3 holdings. These 3 positions alone make up a massive portion of his total capital.
It is a very concentrated strategy, Sarah. Einhorn isn't afraid to bet big when he sees value that others are missing. The portfolio is up about 7% overall. Even though today saw a tiny dip of 0.04%, the long-term conviction is clear. His largest position is Green Brick Partners. It accounts for a staggering 27.5% of the entire portfolio.
That is nearly $690 million in a single company. Green Brick Partners is a homebuilding and land development firm. Why is he so heavily weighted here?
It comes down to valuation and efficiency. The stock is currently trading at $72.85. The price-to-earnings ratio is remarkably low at 9.3. For a company with an earnings per share of $7.68, that is quite attractive. Einhorn has held 9,467,383 shares for a while now. He didn't make any changes to this position in the latest filing.
The stock was up 1.1% today. But looking at the big picture, the portfolio is actually down 1.4% on this specific position. Is that a cause for concern?
I don't think so. Look at the 52-week range. It has traded as low as $50.57 and as high as $77.93. It is currently trading near those highs. Recent news highlights their margin strength compared to peers like Smith Douglas. Einhorn loves companies that can maintain high margins in a tough housing market. He is clearly comfortable sitting on this nearly $700 million stake.
Let's move to the second largest holding, PortfolioCorp. This one saw some major activity recently. Einhorn added over 44% to this position. That is a massive increase.
It really is. He now holds over 5.5 million shares. The total value is about $245 million. This represents 9.1% of his total portfolio. PortfolioCorp is a massive engineering and construction firm. What stands out most is the price-earnings ratio. It is sitting at a mere 2.1.
A PE of 2.1 seems almost impossibly low. What is the story there?
It suggests the market might be mispricing their future earnings. The earnings per share is a whopping $19.74. The stock is currently priced at $44.54. It has moved between $29 and $57 over the last year. Einhorn is up about 5.9% on this trade so far. He is seeing a catalyst that others might be ignoring.
There has been some news regarding NuScale power and small modular reactors. Does PortfolioCorp have a stake in that transition?
They do. There is a lot of buzz about how catalysts are rewriting the story for nuclear power. Fluor has been linked to these developments. Also, other institutional investors like DME Capital have been loading up on the stock. It seems Einhorn is part of a group of value investors buying the dip here. He clearly thinks the engineering sector is undervalued.
That brings us to the third largest holding. Core Natural Resources makes up 7.1% of the portfolio. This position is worth about $210 million.
This has been a standout performer for Greenlight. Einhorn is up 17.1% on this position overall. He owns about 2.1 million shares. The stock is trading at $97.75 today. It saw a nice 1.4% bump in the last session.
It is getting very close to its 52-week high of $107. Do you think he might start trimming soon?
There were no changes in the recent activity. He seems content to hold. Core Natural Resources also pays a small dividend yield of 0.42%. It isn't much, but it adds to the total return. The company operates in the natural resources sector, which fits Einhorn's contrarian style. He often looks for unloved commodities or energy plays.
It's interesting to see the contrast. You have a homebuilder at 27%, an engineering firm at 9%, and a resources company at 7%. That is over 43% of the portfolio in just 3 names.
It shows his discipline. He doesn't diversify just for the sake of it. He puts the most money where he has the most confidence. Green Brick Partners is the core engine here. Fluor Corp is the aggressive value play he just doubled down on. Core Natural Resources is the steady winner that keeps climbing.
The green brick position is so large that it dictates the movement of the whole portfolio. Even with a 1.1% gain today, the total portfolio was nearly flat.
That is the risk of concentration. But Einhorn has built his career on these high-conviction bets. He looks for that gap between the current price and the intrinsic value. With Fluor Corp trading at twice its earnings, he clearly thinks that gap is a canyon. He is waiting for the rest of the market to catch up to his math.
We've talked about the heavy hitters in David Einhorn's portfolio. But Mike, I want to look at the mid-tier holdings. There is some really aggressive movement here. Let's start with Brighthouse Financial. It's a significant position at 5.8% of the total portfolio.
Brighthouse is a classic Einhorn value play. He actually added a bit more recently, about 1.16%. What's wild here is the valuation. The price-to-earnings ratio is sitting at a tiny 3.8.
3.8? That's incredibly low even for an insurance company.
It really is. The stock is trading around $64.37. It's near the top of its 52-week range. He's sitting on an overall gain of 21% here. It shows he's willing to wait for the market to realize the value in these unloved financial names.
Speaking of things the market might be overlooking, look at Victoria's Secret. He increased this position by over 117%. That is a massive conviction move.
It's a huge bet on a turnaround. And so far, it's paying off beautifully. He is up over 132% on this position. The stock is currently at $63.11.
Is the valuation still attractive after a run like that?
The price to earnings is just under 30. It's not cheap in the traditional sense anymore. But the recent news about retail innovation and omnichannel success seems to be fueling the fire. He's clearly seeing something in the brand's resurgence that others missed.
I also noticed Kyndryl Holdings. It's a 5.1% allocation. He added 31% to this position recently. But he's actually down about 9% overall on it.
Kyndryl is the IBM spin-off. It's a complex business. The stock is at $27.34 right now. The price to earnings is 15.3. It hasn't been a winner yet, but Einhorn is doubling down. He's leaning into that fundamental research we mentioned earlier.
Let's shift to some of the names he's cooling off on. He reduced his stake in PENN Entertainment by nearly 10%. And that position is down 26% overall.
PENN has been a struggle. The stock is languishing at $14.20. It's very close to its 52-week low of $13. There's a lot of competition in the gambling space. He might be losing patience with the timeline for a recovery there.
He also slashed HP Inc. He reduced that by 90%.
That's almost a total exit. He's only left with about $6.3 million worth of shares. It's a tiny fraction of the portfolio now. With a dividend yield over 5%, it looks like a value play. But he seems to be rotating that capital elsewhere.
Where is that capital going? I see a new buy in PG&E Corporation.
Exactly. He initiated a position in a utility giant. It makes up 3.8% of the portfolio now. It's a stable business with a 1.2% dividend. He's buying it at $15.70. It feels like a defensive move to balance out some of the riskier bets.
We can't ignore his move into gold. He added to his GLD position. It's now 2.5% of the portfolio.
He's up 18% on gold. The current price is $422.23. He's also holding the GDX Gold Miners ETF. He clearly wants that macro hedge against inflation or market volatility.
What about the energy sector? DHT Holdings stands out to me.
That's a pure income play. DHT has a massive dividend yield of 5.5%. It's 3.6% of his portfolio. The stock is at $13.21. He's up 10% there. It provides a nice cash flow while he waits for his activist plays to mature.
It's a very diverse mix. You have high growth turnarounds like TEVA Pharmaceuticals, where he's up 62%. Then you have deep value like Brighthouse.
It's the hallmark of a disciplined value investor. He's not chasing the Magnificent Seven tech stocks. He's looking for mispriced assets in insurance, healthcare, and even retail. Even with today's small dip of 0.04%, his overall gain is 7%.
It feels like he's positioned for a market that might get a bit choppier. The gold and the utilities suggest caution. But the massive add to Victoria's Secret shows he still has a risk-on appetite for the right price.
That's the Greenlight strategy. Deep research, contrarian thinking, and the guts to hold through volatility. It's not always a smooth ride, as we see with the losses in PENN and Acadia Healthcare. But the winners like TEVA and Victoria's Secret are carrying the day.
It's been fascinating to see how a legendary short seller builds a long portfolio. David Einhorn continues to be one of the most unique voices in the industry.
He definitely keeps us on our toes. Whether it's life insurance or lingerie, he finds value where others don't look.
That brings us to the end of our deep dive into Greenlight Capital. We've covered everything from the billion-dollar bets to the small tactical shifts. Thanks for the analysis, Mike.
Always a pleasure, Sarah.
And thank you for listening to our breakdown of David Einhorn's latest portfolio moves. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening to PortfolioCasts.
This content is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice.
Any figures, prices, or portfolio values discussed are approximate and used for illustrative purposes only.
Follow PortfolioCasts for more investor portfolio breakdowns.